now can't see the fight. Smoke and mirrors, they lead the way. Fooling hearts night after day. Welcome to the show, it's all pretend. The smiles, the lies, the perfect end. The world's a stage, they run the flow. You clap on cue down in the front row. Painted faces, masks of stone. A hollow laugh that chills the trick, a cruel machine. Do you see it? Do you feel it? Or just believe it? Welcome to the show, it's all pretend.
Hello and welcome back. This is episode 14. We are going to be looking at Minneapolis, something that's going on in the news recently. Let's just jump into it. So picture this. You're walking through a neighborhood in Minneapolis. You pass a brick building with a sign that reads Quality Luring Center. There's no N, there's a typo. So instead of learning, it says luring. But the real mystery is inside this building, because the lights are off and the door is locked and there's not a single child in sight. Now imagine that this ghost center, which appears completely inactive to neighbors for years, just received a government check for $1.9 million this year alone. It's December 29th, 2025, and Minnesota is currently the epicenter of what federal prosecutors are calling the most staggering industrial-scale fraud in U.S. history. And we're not talking about a few $1,000s. We're not talking about a few $1 million. We're talking about a disappearance of taxpayer money that could top $9 billion. $9 billion with a B. Okay. So today we're going to follow the trail. We're going to look at some information that gives us a trail, along with a viral video that was released recently. Okay, let's jump into this. So where do we start? Let's start with the viral spark. Okay, if you've been on social media this weekend, you've seen the footage of an independent journalist called Nick Shirley. And he released a 42-minute investigation that has racked up over 100 million views. And I've linked one of those down below. Okay, so if you want to watch his video after that, or after this, you're more than welcome to. So the story goes that Shirley went door to door at 10 daycare centers in the Twin Cities, places that state records say are serving hundreds of kids and receiving millions in funding. Okay, well that's not bad. What did he find? Well, in almost every case, not every case, but in almost every case, he found empty buildings. And when he asked questions, he wasn't met with people that you would think that would normally be at a daycare, right? Like maybe a teacher or a receptionist or somebody like that. No, instead he was met with hostility. Okay, so we put our thinking caps on, right? Our critical thinking caps, and that's like, that shines a red flag automatically. Okay, at the Quality Luring Center, a woman confronted him, screaming at the building for no one to open the door, accusing Mr. Shirley of being an ICE agent. Oh, that's pretty convenient, right? So if you're going to blame it on someone, blame it on ICE. So this video has become a lightning rod, and it's caught the attention of everyone from, Elon Musk to the highest levels of the Trump administration. We're talking about like FBI Director Kash Patel and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. And so they've already confirmed that strike teams were deployed this week to investigate these exact sites. Okay? And so this viral moment has turned a local scandal into a national emergency. Now keep in mind, this is just in one city. So let's start connecting the dots. So this did not all start with a YouTube video. This has been a slow motion train wreck for years in the making, and the blueprint was a non-profit called Feeding Our Future. And when we look at the mastermind behind this, I'm going to butcher some of these names because I'm horrible with names. But the so-called mastermind, Ami Brock, that's A-I-M-E-E, Ami Bach, sorry, no R. And in March of 2025, she was found guilty on all counts for her role in a $250 million food aid scheme. So prosecutors said that she acted like a god, silencing state auditors by accusing them of racism whenever they asked for receipts. Well, of course, right? When we call somebody out and they get caught, first thing they're going to do is they're going to get hostile. The next thing they're going to do is they're going to scream racism from the highest point, right? That's always a commonality these days. But as the investigation widened through 2025, we started to realize that this was just the pilot program, and the fraud moved into places like daycares and autism services and even addiction treatment. So Mohammed Murr, and I cannot pronounce his first name, was sentenced to 10 years this November, and he didn't just steal $47 million. He spent this money on a honeymoon in the Maldives, on jewelry in Dubai, and also he paid a company called PayMeToDoYourHomework.com. And so he paid them $12,000 to take his college classes for him while he was running this so-called heist. And then we look at the Jamal family. Zamzam, Z-A-M-Z-A-M, Mustafa and Asha Jama pleaded guilty earlier this year to laundering millions through shell companies to buy luxury real estate in places like Ohio and Kentucky. And the U.S. Attorney's Office is now looking at 14 different state programs where they say the at-risk amount is nearly $18 billion, with at least $9 billion likely already stolen. So this isn't just a handful of bad actors. This is a fraud terrorism industry where people are allegedly coming to Minnesota because the oversight is so weak, right? And the oversight being by those people that we have so diligently elected into offices, not just at the highest level like Governor Tim Walz, but everybody underneath him. And so that brings us into our accountability crisis. The political fallout is just where things get truly tense. And so Governor Tim Walz's administration is under fire. While the state says they've conducted unannounced visits and found no evidence of fraud at the sites Shirley visited, federal agents are literally raiding those same buildings as we speak. So we have to critically think, like, what exactly is going on here? Is there fraud being being taken place? Is there oversight? Is there mishandling of money? Like, what exactly is going on? Okay. And so there's a massive disconnect between state regulators and federal investigators, as there has been for a while now. The Trump administration has already moved to halt certain funding to the state, citing a total lack of accountability. Meanwhile, the Somali American community that these are found in, the vast majority of whom are hardworking citizens, and if that is true, like if they are true tax-paying citizens that are actually working hard, then those people need to be left alone. But they're left dealing with the reputational damage caused by a network of criminals who allegedly used their identity as a shield against scrutiny. And so we don't just want to just run around blaming people, right? And so like this kind of sort of happened after 9/11, in that, you know, we get this picture of a certain person or group of people that were need to be held accountable for things, and we as individuals, we broaden that to encompass anyone that looks like them. And so we don't want to do that, okay? We don't want to pick on citizens that are hardworking and paying taxes and just trying to make a better life for themselves if they are true citizens, okay? So the YouTube video that we linked, it looks into places like adult daycare. It looks into child daycare. It looks into health care. And so that video clip of Nick Shirley is up to 1.7 million as of like 3 days ago. And I'm sure it's higher than that now. And he goes around to quite a few different places. And like we've talked about, he's met with a lot of hostility. And it's not just him. There's other people that have been going around to these places as well. And if they're really receiving taxpayer money and they're not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing, then we absolutely need to be looking into these places, shutting these places down, and coming up with, I don't know, maybe different alternatives in how these places get set up, how they get funding, maybe the whole shebang, right? Because if we're mishandling money at these little places for millions of dollars, which have accounted to billions of dollars over the years, what's that going to do for us, or what's that going to do to us? Well, that means higher taxes. For everyone that earns a paycheck, that pays into taxes, whether if it's at the federal level, at the state level, it's all going to go up. And aren't we already paying enough? Don't we already pay enough in taxes? And where our money goes, should it not be, for the most part, transparent? I get if there's like secret government things that could be detrimental to society, but like this is neither there nor here. So why isn't this all transparent? And we need to start handling or making sure that our government is being held accountable for these things. So as we wrap up here, we have to ask, where did the $9 billion go? Where did it go? Well, it was supposed to be used on kids, and it's supposed to be used on elderly, and it's supposed to be used on health care. But some of it went for luxury cars. Some went to, they're finding out that went to apartments in Turkey, in Nairobi. And now the FBI is now investigating the most chilling possibility that a portion of this tax-paying money made its way to a terror group, the Al-Qaeda are all Shabab. Okay, and we definitely don't want to be funding any more terror groups. So us as tax-paying citizens, like we need to make sure that people are being held accountable, so this doesn't come back and bite us in the end. And so, like, every dollar stolen, like we said, was meant for a child's education or for a family's meal. And instead it was used to buy private villas and to fund international crime. And so as these trials gear up in the coming year for 2026, and the world is finally watching, especially what's going on in Minnesota, and I think all of us need to be digging deeper into these so-called rabbit holes and holding these people accountable, because evidently places like CBS and ABC and NBC and CNN and all of our news networks, of course, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do their damn job. They're too busy playing political games, bending the knee to either the Democrats or the Republicans or whatever non-profit NGO group on the back end, right? That's going to give them a handout. It's going to give them a piece of the cheese, so to speak. So we need to be holding these people accountable. And people need to start going to prison, hard prison, doing hard time, not just a couple of years. And we need to start making martyrs out of these people, I guess, so that the next person will think twice about stealing your money and stealing my money and stealing the state's money and stealing the federal, the federal money that we work so hard for. So these ghost centers are finally being haunted by the law, and let's hope that it's on the right side of the law. Let's hope that we're not just making stuff up, and let's hope that, when we put our thinking caps on, and we start to dig into this, that let's hope that part of it is true, so that we can put a stop to it. Right? Americans first, civilians first, tax-paying citizens first, right? Let's stop all the stupid nonsense. Let's stop all these games, all these back-end deals, right? But that comes with us. Stop being complacent, okay? Start putting us first. Start putting Americans first. So dig into this. Be watching more for Nick Shirley. Start doing some more of your own investigation. Let's find out exactly what's going on with our money. Where's it going? What is it funneling? What is it funding? Who are we making rich on the back end? Because this is not where our money was supposed to go. Okay? So, as always, this is Breaking the System. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.